And next we have Joshua. Now Joshua wears many hats as a qualified lawyer, law lecturer, technology leader with a track record in predictive AI, cybersecurity and blockchain innovation. And as Director of China Information Technology Development, he drives advancements in AI and Web3 cybersecurity. And he's also a private practice solicitor, a senior consultant at ProSynergy, which is a regulatory consulting firm led by former SFC regulators, and a law lecturer at HKU Space. He's also recognized by several industry associations, including as co-chair of the Hong Kong Web3 Association, director of the Corporate Council Hong Kong Association, legal advisor to Women in Web3 Hong Kong and Hong Kong Blockchain Association. And I'm not finished yet. On top of all that, he's spearheaded several groundbreaking legal cases, such as Hong Kong's first crypto litigation and the first civil judgment against JPEX, which I'm sure you've all heard about. And last but not least, we have Helen, who's CEO of Shenzhen JIDS Medical Technology Company. Helen is a Hong Kong-based entrepreneur with a finance and health industry background. She's a founder of a tech startup in non-invasive health monitoring technology within the field of biomedical engineering. Previously, she was also department general manager in a global nutrition and health company. But prior to entering healthcare, Helen has over 10 years experience as a senior private banker in a number of global financial institutions. So, and finally, I'm Fong. I'm the global lead for AI adoption and engagement at an international law firm, Ashurst, which has over 4,000 employees and 31 offices. So I think it's fair to say that businesses in Hong Kong have faced quite some headwinds in recent years, and there's probably never been a time like this in modern business history, where you've got geopolitical conflict, trade tensions, market fluctuations, structural challenges, and on top of that, tech disruption. So really, business as usual has been anything but usual. So let's dive into the questions. And the first one is for Helen. What do you consider to be the most significant economic factors? And I mean, the ones that really cause volatility. What are the most significant of these factors impacting Hong Kong businesses today?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm so happy to be invited here. As the founder for a medtech company actually based in mainland China at the moment, I will try to incorporate more from my industry perspective into this question. I think the first thing that I will think of is about of course, the supply chain, the geopolitical environment actually is shaping the supply chain. So as I was in the banking industry before, so I know how the capital flow will react with the stability. So for our industry, for most of the medical manufacturers like us, actually we are thinking global diversification by saying, for example, suppliers and clientele, especially for us, like our sensor components, say for example, actually right now we have more than 60 to 70% actually, we source from the Greater Bay Area now. So this is something that we would like to mitigate the risk. This is the first thing. And the second thing is mainly about the talents, the talent retention. But I think we are very good because we are in the Greater Bay Area, so we got a good pool of talents from, because we need engineers, we need people from the clinical background. But I think that Hong Kong also has a very good, opportunity that actually yesterday we read the news that, right, Hong Kong Academia, Hong Kong University actually ran a very high ranking, right? So we got a very good pool of R&D talents actually here in Hong Kong. So for us right now, our team, actually like our engineers, we do have cross-border R&D teams right now, so they actually split the time between Hong Kong and Shenzhen, so we can leverage on this very good GA integration. So I think the last point I would like to point out is about the economic impact, say the operational cost pressure for the government, right? So in our industry about the healthcare financing, healthcare spending in Hong Kong and as well as the mainland. But for this, I think there's a way out. Say, for example, we are promoting the primary healthcare, preventive healthcare, and the government actually focus a lot on digitalization as well. So I think that like the Hong Kong initiative to promote the primary healthcare and the chronic health management. So I think this is a good thing, to minimize the hospitalization cost. So I think I will share about this.
Thank you, Helen. Joshua and CS, do you have anything you'd like to add from your perspective?
Well, one of the things I would like to point out is whenever there's adversity, it's actually very great opportunities. Of course, Hong Kong actually stands in a very unique position as of this moment, with recently Trump tweeting the fact that there's a done deal trade deal, whatever that might even mean. It really introduced a lot of stability factors. So while in the first half of this year we saw a lot of market uncertainty, what we see is opportunity, because since Trump's new administration came into power, of course, we have seen the largest capital outflow from the United States since the 1990s. And a lot of the money actually went into Europe. So I hope I'm not pissing off anyone from Europe at this point. But since the deal with China is apparently done, Trump have refocused his attention to Europe right now. So we're seeing Hong Kong as a very attractive destination for people to say this is actually a safe harbor. So going into the second half of this year, we're seeing some of the largest IPO coming into place as well. And we're just seeing a lot of money liquidity potentially looking at Hong Kong as being a good destination compared with even a contemporary jurisdiction like Dubai or even Singapore. So from a company that does artificial intelligence perspective, we see huge opportunities as well, all the way from fundraising, all the way to development, because recently we've seen a lot of breakthroughs in the tech sector. The whole narrative about China peak is no longer being floated about, because we're all talking about what is the next DeepSeek moment. And we are actually sitting at the forefront of that. Because, not trying to sell my company, but that having been said, our company did do the AI for MTR, for example. And these are things that a lot of other traditional infrastructure companies are going to be looking into in the coming days. How can technologies like artificial intelligence be implemented in order to basically improve the overall value chain for traditional operators? And on the other hand, we can't talk about implementation of technology without cybersecurity as well. Well, Hong Kong just, of course, passed the critical infrastructure cybersecurity law that will be coming into effect January of this year. And we're seeing a lot of activities there. So huge activities within the market space, huge activities also within the tech space, which is very exciting.
Great, thank you. So we've talked about now, what's affecting, current market conditions. Let's see if we can draw some insights from the past. And so my next question for you, CS, I know, all of you have navigated, you also have navigated significant, market disruptions throughout, your career. Could you share any lessons from the past that can be valuable for businesses today?
Definitely. But first of all, I have to say thank you to having me here today and share my thesis and my view about the economic resilience. I'm looking at that, having said that, this means a shift in the new demand. It's about how you can spot the opportunity in the volatile market conditions. In the past few years, I'm seeing the rise demand of the smart mobility and also the logistic tech. So my company, Tesco Limited, was established in 2020 and focused on the smart mobility and green logistics. Talking about the logistic technology, in China, the logistic tech is very mature and there's a very competitive supply chain advantage. If let's say to compete with the manufacturer in China is difficult, but we're trying to change the competition into our advantage. So we partner with the largest logistic tech company in China, from China, and combine combines the core strength from both companies to build up the logistic platform across the Asians. And we are also taking the Hong Kong as the testing ground. Hong Kong is a very high developed and high density urban environment. It's a very ideal testing ground for our smart logistic transport system. And we are testing our smart logistic and AI traffic control management system in Hong Kong. And we are also embracing the RCEP, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. The objective of the RCEP initiative is about to reduce the tariff and also the trade barrier amongst the Asian countries, and also streamlines the flow of technology and capital. So 90% of the product trade in these countries that is probably is 0% of tariff. So our strategy is to build up cross-border logistic platform across to connecting the RCEP members countries, and also empowering the local partners with our advanced logistic and AI technologies.
Thank you, Siew. So what about you, Joshua? Any lessons from the past that you think could be valuable today?
Plenty. So before I became a lawyer, I used to head the IT department at a private hospital, and I was actually in charge of the whole digitization process. So trying to get people that are not used to technology to suddenly use technology is a very big challenge. I still remember one of the incidents we had back in the day is there was a medical malpractice case where patients came in for ear infection and ended up getting an injection in the buttocks. The reason being is that the doctor's handwriting was illegible. He used a simplified form and just say, apply medication to our ear, meaning right ear. Nurse read it as injecting in the rear, which resulted in, of course, very discomfortable a series of events that took place. Digitization, of course, really aims to solve a lot of these issues. And but even at that time, we had huge resistance from the medical community in why they should go digital. So some doctors would say, digital, you weren't very specific on your requirements. So they would just scan their handwritten notes and say, this is a digital patient record. So all the illegible handwriting still translates into the whole value system. And really educating them why it's actually better for the practice is that early lesson that I've learned. Fast forward to 15 years later to today, where we're doing technology law as well as artificial intelligence, getting our clients to basically understand how AI will impact their business is going to be quite a task. So one of the first things we have to do is a lot of people actually always come and say, oh, there's going to be a lot of redundancies as a result of artificial intelligence. My narrative has always been, no, there's no redundancy, but there's going to be upskilling, retraining of the staff. And part of our integration program when we work with our clients is, of course, educating these traditional people that don't really use any sort of electronic device aside from the smartphones, how to use a lot of these new technology. And education, having the patience to undergo the entire process is one of the biggest challenges, yet the most rewarding one that you can have as well.
Thank you. So we've learned how past lessons can inform future strategies, but strategies are only as good as, it's only good up to a point, and you really need execution. So I'd like to ask Helen and CS, how have you adapted, I know you've touched on this already, but maybe a little bit more detail, how you've really adapted your operational model to deal with all these, adapted it to be more economically resilient.
Okay, there's one thing I would very like to share with you all. Can you hear? Okay. Share with you all. This is
Let's sing like karaoke.
Thank you. I'd like to share with you all. This is one of the lessons learned from my experience. After I found this company. because actually I'm not from technical background, because some audience actually asked me whether you're from medical, right? Actually I'm not, I'm from finance background, but I'm a founder for this medtech company. So one lesson learned is I think that market-driven strategy is actually the best leveraging strategy. Why I say so? Because for a lot of tech companies actually founded by scientists, okay, like all my partners, actually they're very product driven. I think it's most of them actually they have very good skills and have a very groundbreaking technology, and however, they actually may not pay enough attention to this. For us, what we are doing is we think of some hybrid commercialization, because in mainland China, actually the market is not as good. I mean, for the medical device into the the traditional channel. So that's why we have built up different or hybrid revenue streams in order to combat with those financial resilience. So we build up the distribution channel, we will build up a partnership with the main hospital, but actually we also build different model, not only from sales of equipment, but also like free software, but or we charge on the hardware. There's different kind of business model we can do. So I think this is very important. Another thing that I think important is about the financial resilience, because for our industry, we need to put, I think, at least for like half year to 12 months cash reserve for a lot of startups actually, because we need to go through all the clinical trials. Go through all the clinical trials. So last 2 years, actually the financial market is not good, and I know that actually a lot of tech companies actually are too busy, right? So there's a lot of difficulties they face. So actually we need to go hand in hand, both business as well as communication with the financial the community, like VCs or investors. Yeah, this is what I learned from my lessons.
Well, I think commercialization is definitely a very important factor that you can have. This is actually a testing round. Now that it's working, one of the biggest problems that I know from working with a lot of geeks in my past life is that they come up with a lot of product ideas without really exploring whether there's even a market to it yet. And the biggest problem is no one that have came up with an idea would think it's a bad idea, and it's a huge red flag if the only client is themselves actually. So actually helping them with the process and talents, like our co-speakers here today, and guiding them to commercialization and identifying whether there's a user base that will actually have an application for the product itself is very important. Otherwise, if you're just having a business that there's no buyers or no customers aside from yourself, then it's a really big, quick dead end.
CS, what about it?
Well, about our operation models, that basically we are cloud-native companies, so we have all our development, platform, application is built in the cloud, and they provide a dynamic, scalable, and editable environments. So, but we also have the local partners in different countries, like different countries. So we also implement the so-called ticketing flow system, to also developing an AI model to extract the local relevant information, convert to the tickets, and empowers the local teams to respond to the local market conditions. So we along with our local supporting teams, we actually depending heavily on the collaboration with the local partner, including the local carrier, the custom brokers, and also the local technology providers to enhance the abilities. So in this environment, they allow us to share the resources and also have rapid scaling.
So I think we've seen technology emerge as a theme in our discussion so far. So I'd like to dig a bit deeper into that. And a question for you, Joshua: what role does technology play in building economic resilience? How can businesses balance tech investments against short-term financial pressures?
2 words: competitive advantages. I still remember back in the uni days, I was one of the top performing students, not so much because I spent any time in the library. In fact, I went through law school without stepping foot in the library at all. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say that. The key thing I did know how to use very well was something called the search engine, which in that time, apparently search engines were still not very popular. Companies that identify technologies early on in knowing how it can give them that competitive edge in securing their market share is going to be the key winner. And that's why once you have entrenched in your market, your niche market, it's going to be very hard for other people to come in and compete with you later on. For example, we are there's a lot of talk about how Hong Kong wants to be the next crypto capital of the world. The thing is, we don't really see any new rising crypto exchange that were actually founded in recent years that have actually risen to prominence. A lot of them actually went in early. Binance went in early, was started early in the 2018-2019 era, before the previous bull cycle. And you'll see that if you want to go in now, it's going to be very difficult because one, how are you going to secure your user base? So user penetration is going to be something that I'm very interested in seeing what CS might have to say about how he managed to basically secure these new users, because one of the biggest problems I see with a lot of technology companies is they create the product first and hope that somebody will buy into it or use their product, which is not the way to go.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and also to agree with you this about the competitive advantage. The resilience should be seen as a cost to implement. Suppose it's a source of a competitive advantage. And the product that we have developed is not, that no one is buying it. It's not a product. Until someone is really buying it. So how we are doing that is because of we have a team in different area, and also working with the local teams to adopt our solution and modify our solutions to meet the requirements. So I think we are doing something good there. So right now, I think how to say that we are business that we are pretty good in Hong Kong, and we are stepping out in different countries, and everyone is not our product. Of course, we need to to do some localization and adaptations to meet their requirements, and also empowering the local partners to make sure that our products going out is what they really want.
I think conversion is also another thing that's going to be very important. So it's actually kind of funny. This is more within the Web3 world. But if you see somebody that you have spoken and sold to suddenly change their title to, instead of being a fintech person, they say crypto evangelists, right? And you know that you have converted them. I'm not saying you should target Mormons or Latin type of price things as the pool that you need to reach out to for your sales team. But there's something about being able to turn them into a true believer in the product as well.
So even the best technologies require the right organizational and talent. So I think your comment, Joshua, is a good segue into our next question. How should companies approach talent development and organizational structure to enhance adaptability in volatile markets? CS, would you like to start?
Well, yeah, it's a very complicated and difficult topics to me about this talent development. But I think that there's also an expert here that probably need to attend the workshop. But anyway, we are trying to promote continuous learning culture. We also develop an interactive e-learning platform to make sure that our staff can review and also to learn the job knowledge at anytime, anywhere. And we also invest a lot in the digital and also analytics tools. Quite a lot of the workforce in our industry, in the logistics industries, they are lack of digital skill, we investing for the frontline people, the staff that in the digital documentation and IoT safety and the GPS platform, and also the compliance protocols. So that's what we are trying to do in our industry. Yeah.
And Helen, do you have anything to add? Because I know you mentioned at the start about GBA talent pool.
Well, it's actually because we are still an early stage to growing company stage. So for us, I think that we can think about something as planned or something more agile. Because I think I'm creating a more agile team, and what we are focusing on is more on people than process at this moment of time. So, say for example, what initiative that I'm implementing in my company is that we don't really have a very, of course they have different roles and positions, but actually I will ask them to pull up into different project teams. Say for example, if I go out for marketing and meeting the clients, actually I will bring out, maybe a software engineer to come with me every time, or anybody from different teams, because I would like to everybody, no matter what position they are in, they need to be more client focused. They need to be sensitive to the market. What actually they develop in the labs, actually this is we want to create value for our clients. So I echo what our speakers, the other two speakers, saying. We cannot we create that hammer and then find the nails, right? So this is the key thing that I want to create this. So, and also it will create a very good team spirit. So everybody know where to go. So this is what I'm implementing in my company at the moment. Yeah.
Josh, any thoughts on talent and organization?
It's actually funny because before we had this panel discussion, our moderator so funny circulated a number of questions she was going to ask. Full disclosure, I have no recollection of any of the question or any of the draft answer I had, except for this last question, because I remember I said, hire me because I need the money. But that having been said, I think one of the things about emerging technology system, depending on which angle you're looking at and which view you're looking at, the talent pool can actually be quite small. So I've actually had crypto exchanges that come up to me because they also know that I do teach at Hong Kong U as well, and say they can't find any lawyers that have actual experience in getting the licenses or these regulatory area, and they are asking me to connect them with my students to see if they can recruit them. So that's how in demand that certain emerging technology fields it might be, especially once they have gained traction. And do hire me if you have money.
You already got a lot of positions.
I can never say no to extra cash.
So after putting in place all these strategies and tactics, companies need effective ways to measure their progress. So I'd like to hear, firstly from you, Helen, what metrics or indicators do you recommend that executives use to monitor the organization's resilience?
All right, so I'll quote a few examples. So for me, actually, for every company, what we are doing is diagnosis, when we are developing a business strategy, right? Diagnosis, and then setting up a strategy, and then execution, right? So I think for the diagnosis part, we need to do repeat and ongoing and continuous improvement. So for this, I think right now in the era of AI, right now, so actually market competition is actually based on the cognitive. I think it's the cognitive warfare, right? If we read the Art of War, right? So we need to know very well about yourself, and you need to know your enemy in the vicinity of the market competition. So I think first of all, we need to go into very detail what the market trend in your own industry. You need to get to know about it and to analyze it. And the second few thing is, I think one example is about the cost, because I realized that a lot of leaders or a lot of managers actually very often they will overestimate the market but underestimate the cost. I think it's a lot of what will happen happen. So say from finance background, we know from the viewpoint like accounting, right? From accounting viewpoint, from management viewpoint, economic viewpoint, we assess about the cost. But actually, there's a lot of intangible, like what's the hidden cost, right? The waste or opportunity cost, and even the goodwill, especially for our healthcare industry, we have zero tolerance about it. So this is something that we really like to look into details. And the second thing is to assess your own level of competence. So one example is in our companies, actually all our core team backgrounds actually from R&D, and actually no one from us is actually good experts in the supply chain or the manufacturing. So that's why we need to find the right partners. So say for example, when we apply for this product license, we actually adopt the MEH, which means the Marketing Authorization Holder system, which means that we can outsource the productions to other professionals, and then we retain the regulatory responsibility. So something like that we need to adopt to, and then find our own competence where we should focus on. And the last thing I think is about to manage by objectives. I can call examples that I face as well. Say when you have very limited resources, will you put in further product development, will you put in market development? So what we choose is the market development first, okay? So this is something that we are ongoing, we need to diagnose and keep going. So I just, maybe I share a few of this part. Yeah.
Any other comments from the panel? Gary, how are we going for time? Because I have a closing question. I wanted to leave time for Q&A.
You don't have can we get to Q&A?
Okay, so maybe I'll go to one closing question and then Q&A.
Yeah.
Okay. So go to the last one. This is a question for everyone on the panel, for everyone to comment. Looking ahead, what single resilient strategy would you recommend that every business leader in this group adopt, regardless of the industry that they're in?
Yeah, it's tough. Okay, I think that visibility. Visibility is the foundation of the resilience. If you don't have a clue, then basically you can't do anything. So I think the operation is built on the real-time data-driven operation. So it allows us to manage, to make the decision quicker, and also simulate the different discussion, and also respond to the problem as soon as possible. So I think the visibility is the key. Yeah.
I would say that ecosystem and diversification. For example, I'll just share that my personal experience is that early in my career, I would have thought that if I had just been a lawyer, I would not have this level of market access, because you would just stay in the office and your scope is very narrow. So one of the things that I did focus on building in the early days is having my own ecosystem from multiple faceted angles, which leads to the second point, diversification. You can't really hope to penetrate the market without basically diversifying yourself in the number of angles of access, which is why you say that I have many hats. Because, for example, my academia role helps me build that credibility. On the other hand, my roles chairing the Web3 Association, probably unprecedented access within the ecosystem that I've been building up to have. And this is actually a common theme that a lot of new emerging platforms struggle with, because they'll always say, I will get the license, and then all they're doing after that is they're burning the runway. Basically, they have a certain level of fundraising ahead of time, and then they're like, oh, okay, when are the users coming in? Not having that ecosystem, not having that ready pool of converted users that are ready to participate in what you're building up at a moment's notice can be detrimental to any businesses. So, like I said, most people, whenever they come up with a business idea, of course they're going to be sold on it because they came up with the idea. The question is, you need to stress test it. Are there a pool of people that actually do agree with you? For example, I use finance as the example. When they started, one of the reasons why they're so successful and became the largest crypto platform on planet is because they had a pool of users that were in common saying that dissatisfied that it's not built like how you had traded shares at that particular time. And when they launched, of course, instantly they were able to convert users. Now, fast forward to today, what we're seeing is a lot of companies that will have business plan that makes absolutely no sense. And they need to file that if they're going for regulated activity. And they're like, yeah, we'll get the license, and then people come. And I'm like, how? Really? So that conversion, that ecosystem, that presence is something that's far more valuable than if you're just looking at it from one dimension.
I think for me, I will point out that leadership is important. I mean, strong leadership, and also how you treat and groom and develop your talent. Because for a growing company, for an early stage company, a tech company, it's so important. Everybody is not HR, human resources, but I will see them as a talent and potential who will bring value to commit to the common goal of the company. So I pay a lot of attention how to groom our staff, and because in the future I think that with the AI. We're not talking about replacing, some repetitive job, but we are talking about how to develop the mental intelligence, and everybody, like actually they have cross different knowledge from different disciplines. So I think that the talents and the leadership is what I will pay most attention to.
Well, I'll just add, whenever we talk about AI, at the end of the day, there's always a human input because there's always degrees of prompting. That we don't have true artificial intelligence, notwithstanding that there are apps out there that say AI boyfriend or AI girlfriend. Those are not real intelligence. Emphasis added. So it's always about degrees of prompting. That means the human input will always be necessary, and having the upskilling and knowing how to prompt, how to input is going to be crucial in terms of talent developments in the coming days as well. But also having the knowledge, the guardrails on knowing what is appropriate to be used on an AI. For example, if you're using open source, please do not circulate confidential or otherwise proprietary knowledge to it, because we had that case happen with Samsung where the software engineers decided to basically use AI to perfect their codes, and they had no guidelines or anything, and the proprietary code became public knowledge as a result.
On that note, let's open it up for questions from the audience. Anyone have any questions?
Okay. So the one question, but it's not the core topic of this event. I'm sorry. Joshua mentioned that Far East would be would be the fund shelter for because of the economic instability in the Middle East, and also predictability of US dollar recently. I just want to ask, apart from fund draw leakage from the US, I think Middle East maybe those millionaires would consider moving out funds from the Middle East to the Far East as well. But how I just want to know, how do you compare the comparative advantage of putting us in the Far East among different regions like Hong Kong, Singapore, and Japan? Do you have any view of whether funds will come for their preference when they consider funds to go into the Far East region?
So I gave away the mic thinking I don't have to answer. Obviously that didn't work because CS passed me the mic immediately. You're quite right. So I was actually being interviewed by Reuters and a number of other magazines on this particular point quite intensely this past few weeks. And my view is that Hong Kong has a huge advantage in being one of the most liquid market outside the continental United States. That's why whenever we talk about financial centers, it used to be Hong Kong, London, and New York. London, well, not to say anything bad about London, but we all know how Brexit really adversely affected the stock market there. Japan have the deflation, the lost decades, the deflationary crisis, and the currency issue is still not quite stable at this particular juncture. And it's actually very hard for you to get your companies listed in Japan, for example, which is why there's a lot of ring fencing that makes Japan a very unique but difficult market to participate at the end of the day. Hong Kong, on the other hand, we basically live on the advantages of the legacy of the British Empire, which is control of 25% of the world at one point in time, so we're compatible through common law. We have now Hong Kong is also viewed as a gateway to China, but what I see is actually the bridge between the diverging type of economic system. Take the newest legislation on stablecoin, for example. There are explicit carve-outs saying these do not apply to CBDCs because we have jurisdictions like the European Union and China that have the focus on development of CBDC over that of stablecoin. And Hong Kong is really creating the payment infrastructure that will facilitate both sides of the economies going into the future. And that is why when you combine factors such as stability, now that there's a done deal, according to Donald Trump at least, between China and the US, when you consider economic uncertainties between the European markets and definitely the Middle Eastern markets right now, which dropped by the Egyptian stock exchange, I believe, dropped over double-digit percentage this past week. Hong Kong became the only legitimate financial center that you can look into. And I'm not saying anything bad about the Middle East markets either, but the fact is when you have oil-rich countries that have really accessed the cheat code of using oil wealth to build up their whole economies, it really puts you at a lot of risk in what happens when oil supply is affected. Are they able to function as an independent economy with the absence of access to oil wealth? And that's a huge question mark. On the other hand, when you look at Hong Kong, for example, we're not reliant on exporting any natural resources. We are the hub that really bridge between the various jurisdictions, and that's why there's this advantage. We're also a bridge to Southeast Asia. That's why we're competing with Singapore, for example. Singapore, on the other hand, we have seen a lot of complaints about it being an illiquid financial center, comparatively speaking. So that's the advantage, of course. That having been said, I do have a lot of clients from Korea and Japan, so those are really good jurisdictions if you can enter it. And they never bargain you your fees down. So I really love the clients from those countries as well.
Thank you, Joshua. I think we have time for one more question.
So I'm Eric, so basically I'm doing a business with AI. So I'm just wondering, do you think having the employee to embrace or adopting the AI is the key strategies for them for the business to be more resilient? And what are the advice for you to the company that the strategy they could implement in the company with the AI?
Let me try to tell you how my staff that we have on AI. So of course we have staff for the operational and also the developer, IT personnel. So for the IT guys that well, AI is here, is the future. We are using AI for different developments. And the operation guy that we're telling them, that it's not going to be paid, so definitely cannot at this moment. But we use the tools to help them to make a better decision, and also help them to provide provide the efficiency. So I've seen that in our service product that the AI already in our service. So no matter how whether it's embedded AI technology or the open AI technology, that we are really looking at that. So for the staff, yes, they are doing that and they are embracing it and they are using it. But it's going to be how they feel Whether this AI going to replace it is, well, it's not a present problem for them at this moment.
Alan, did you have anything to add?
I think for the employees, it's definitely to choose how to increase the efficiency so they spare more time to hear, to know, to communicate with our clients. So I think it's a good thing for us in this part. And the second thing is I think AI will be our incorporate into our business strategy as well because for us, we are a medical device company. We have developed products that give the vital signs and then to assess some different vital indicators for the patients. But in the next step, we are developing the AI model, which will give the predictive disease predictive capabilities. So this is the whole business strategy for the company as well. So the team will go will fully incorporate with the AI strategy.
That's all we have time for today. So thank you to our excellent panelists for their valuable insights. We've covered so much ground, and I hope you find something that you'll be able to take away and apply in your organizations. Because economic uncertainty is inevitable, but with the right strategies and execution, your businesses can emerge stronger. So thank you all for your participation, and I wish you success in building more resilient businesses in these interesting times.